And I'll let you know when I start to see it on YouTube there. All right, well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We're going to get started here. This evening, we're going to be sharing about the Bloomington Online School as it relates to Kennedy High School and Kennedy High School students. So just as a quick agenda, we'll do some introductions. We'll make sure you have contact information, then we'll provide some program information, talk about supports for the year, and then also answer any questions that you might have. I don't know, we can start with introducing ourselves.
Hello, Kennedy High School students. My name is Akram Azman. I am super proud to serve as your principal at Kennedy High School. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Molly Hollenbeck, assistant principal at Kennedy this year. I'm really excited to be here and get this year started.
And I'm Andrew Rummel. I'm the program coordinator for the online school, and I look forward to supporting the program all year long here. Just a little information, and this is important as you continue, or as we get to start the start of the year here very soon. We have contact information. There's also the Bloomington Online School email address. You can use that for questions specific to the online school. And then, of course, there's the office line that you can call at Kennedy. A little bit of history around the Bloomington, why we have a Bloomington Online School. We have had an online program at Kennedy and at Jefferson for the last 3 years. It's going on year 4. And 40% of high school students took fully online Bloomington courses in 2019-20, and that was before distance learning, before school kind of shifted towards in the spring. Currently, 32% of families are feeling, or at least earlier in summer, were saying that they were uncertain about returning to full-time school in the fall. And we know that that 35% of post-secondary students take fully online courses. So that was before this pandemic. So we know that as we prepare students to move out of high school and into additional learning or future learning, we know that online learning will be a key part of that. For the Bloomington Online School, it is important to know that Jefferson and Kennedy are our partner schools. That means Kennedy High School students are Kennedy students. They are part of the community at Kennedy. They can be involved in any of the activities at Kennedy. And the online school is the courses that are part of the online program are taught by Kennedy teachers. So that it is fully integrated into Kennedy High School for Kennedy students, and then same with Jefferson students. A little bit about our summer as we were preparing for this year. Throughout the summer, we had a program advisory that was running. We had work groups that worked on program policies, instructional design, and student support. And then we had high school, middle school teachers working on course design. And then previously, over the last 3 years, we've had high school teachers developing online courses as part of the online program. A little bit about the foundation of the online program. So all courses are designed they're fully aligned to the standards. And our goal is that we reach the same level of rigor and assessment as equivalent in-person courses or equivalent distance learning courses. We strive to make the online courses engaging and interactive. All of the courses are created by and taught by qualified, licensed Bloomington teachers. And that's the key part, is that it's Bloomington teachers who are designing those courses. We know that relationships remain key within an online learning environment. So teacher to student relationships, and then student to student relationships. And then we really hold at our core that the high school online courses should be available for all high school students. And that was true before the pandemic, and that will remain true in the future. A little just information about key dates coming up. We have this information meeting. We have the first day of school on September 8th. We have device pickup happening September 8th and 9th. And then on September 10th and 11th, teachers will be reaching out to connect with students. Akram, do you want to take it away, or Molly?
Yes, yep. Thank you, Andrew. And just a reminder to check your email for back to school information. I sent some detailed information about the start of the school year and all the information that will be helpful to you as you think about the upcoming week. There's a couple of days early on where we're going to have some device pickup, material pickups, and then on the 10th and 11th of next week, we'll have pictures at the building. So look for that email for more details. So you might be asking yourself the question of what would the schedule look like for my student? So the course schedules will be either what courses which you'll see on the schedule of the student, and that's all online student courses that are going to be on the schedule, and then also some of the students might also have courses that are also part of the distance learning schedules that we have for students. So you might see a combination in a schedule, and that's how we're going to be meeting the needs of our students. So as you hear that, you might be asking the question of how, if we change to hybrid, how would that impact my student schedule? Knowing that Bloomington Online School is a full year commitment, we want all of you to know that your student will not be required to attend school, like the physical space of school, as we make this switch if we go to hybrid. But at that time, there might be times where we might have to get creative with the schedules of students, and there might be some course switches that might happen at that time in order to meet your request and your needs and your students' needs. And that will be based on availability of the course and also staffing for that course. But please know that the year commitment that you have with Bloomington Online School will be honored, and your kid will not be required to attend the physical space in case we change to the hybrid model. Molly, would you like to speak to this slide?
So on your schedule, on your child's schedule, you might see some online classes, those web classes that are up in 0 hour, and then you might see other classes that are listed through hours 1 through 6. And so what we would really want you to know is that regardless of where that class falls on your child's schedule, there will be live connection time with teachers based on how learning is happening in that class, based on the way the teacher and the students have designed that class around synchronous and asynchronous times. So those fully online web classes up in 0 hour, live connection time, and that'll be clear communication from teachers as the courses get underway. And then we're gonna, I think on the next slide, we're gonna preview that, thank you, Andrew, that bell schedule. And so that bell schedule provides those hours of the day, those first hour, third hour, and fifth hour on Monday synchronous times, and then second, fourth, and sixth. And so, really your child's gonna get that communication next week. That's one of the great opportunities we've got with this next week to get everybody acclimated to the school year. So those days that Akram and Andrew were talking about, when those student and teacher connections are happening on the 10th and the 11th, teachers will be making contact with students, and they'll be really clear on just how we're gonna start, what's our schedule gonna look like, when's my child supposed to be there. So I would just ask for, I think we're all a little anxious about just what's it all gonna look like, and just know that our teachers have spent the last week, working really hard to just get their courses designed. And those first connection days, next Thursday and Friday, they'll really make those times where synchronous live connection teacher time happening. They're going to make that clear. So just hold all those real specifics. What are the days and times? Generally, this is the bell schedule, but some of those full web classes that sit up in 0 hour, teachers who've been teaching those online classes for a while just have a really great ability to determine when are we going to meet as a whole class, when are we going to meet in small groups, when we might do individual live connection time.
Just to point out that the schedule does move beyond the morning. So there's an afternoon part of the schedule, so don't forget that. And it does lead up to 2:30. So I see a question in the chat there about a student that does not have online icons, so it doesn't have courses that are web dedicated. And what that means is that student's courses obviously will be online as we're in distance learning here. And as you look at the schedule, say on Monday, if your child has a course during 5th hour, they would have a synchronous meeting at 12:30. Not this Monday because school doesn't start until Tuesday, but on the schedule. So again, the classes that are designated web or have that word on as part of the title, those are courses that don't fall into the green and white parts of the schedule. And instead, teachers would be making instructional decisions around how to meet with students, and they might use any of the parts of the schedule that are open on here to do that.
And then as Andrew and Akram both did share in that return to learn communication that went out to all families this week, just a little bit more about what's the expectation for kids this coming week, and really by grade, 9th and 12th graders will be coming to school to pick up their materials anytime between 11 and 7, and that's indicated in that communication. Those hours were set to really meet everybody's needs, and there's not if my child's last name is in this, no schedule time. Just know that based on your availability and at your convenience, come to school between 11 and 7 if you've got a student in 9th or 12th grade. And then we really want next week to be it's a first day of school on Tuesday. And so it is a day for students, for 10th and 11th graders and those 9th and 12th graders when they get their Chromebooks to go ahead and log into the hub. I think it's got a new look this year, Andrew, that I hear is a little more user-friendly, visually easy to navigate. So kids are going to practice logging in and taking attendance. And also when they log in, they'll see a distance learning student success module, a Canvas course. And there's just one module for kids to work through. It's not a lot of, when I say work through, it's really a welcome video from the Kennedy principal team. There's a little bit of how do I log in? How do I get my classes? How do I take attendance? So there's a little tutorial to help you and your child understand how to navigate the hub and how to just make sure you're ready for class when Thursday comes. There's also some resources about just how do I find out who's my counselor? How do I navigate? How do I find my people essentially at school? So there's a little presentation for kids to walk through, and families as well can do that and just learn more about Kennedy. And then there's also just a little bit of there's a little information just about your own identity as a student. And we've really worked with teachers the last week to help them understand their own identities so that they're ready to support the identities of all the students who come to school. So just a little bit about understanding that, and we would want all families to know that we truly believe it's critical for kids to learn to be in classrooms, even virtual classrooms, in which they feel safe and they feel a sense of belonging, especially as they go and learn in a virtual environment where we know that student collaboration is going to be important, right? With so much asynchronous time to learn on their own, one of the great things about online learning is that you can form those study groups and you can really learn at a time that works for your for students. But sometimes we need partners and study buddies when we do that. So you'll get to kind of think about who am I as a person and who's my teacher as well. So when we say that distance learning student success module, not required, it's not homework, not a bunch of stuff to do, but just really to start to get you acclimated and really feel a sense of belonging to Kennedy.
There's a little question here about if if a student already has their Chromebook from last year, are there other materials they'd be picking up on these days?
Yes, so if a student already has a Chromebook from last school year, there might be some textbooks for some courses that teachers have put together, or some materials for courses that have been put together. So if there are any specific questions, and if there's any families that would like us to follow up with, if some of the courses that show up on a student's schedule are ones that are gonna have textbooks, we're more than willing to take some emails, and they can email me directly, and I can figure that out and help them with that. So not every course is given out a textbook, but there are some courses that are given out textbooks on those days.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Let's see, Molly, were you going to speak about this part?
I am, and just it's been fun this last week to really be a part of watching teachers prepare for this school year. And two of the things that I would say, if you're thinking about or just wondering about what type of supports are going to be available, one thing my colleague and other assistant principal Chris Krenz, she and I will really support students in alpha ranges. So I'll be working with students whose last names are L through Z, with a dean of students and 2 counselors. And then Chris will be doing that same thing with students whose last names are A through K. And we've really got some robust student support structures in place. So weekly, our alpha teams will come together, and we'll really be watching the progress of all students at Kennedy, and making sure that we're proactive in just monitoring student progress, and then we're putting in supports, be it a counselor outreach, be it a connection back to the teacher, and making sure that kids are making progress toward those course outcomes. So those student support structures are going to be up and running as we get the school year started. So that support will be there. And then additionally, those consistent instructional practices, some of the things that we've got in place, just making sure families and students have weekly grade updates. And so Wednesday's kind of that day where it's like, just making sure that progress is really available for teachers or for students and families. And then also, thinking about some of the things that I talked about around just how do we support students in getting questions answered outside of that time when a teacher might not be available. So how do teachers create base groups, which is essentially how do we create collaborative study groups, and really to build our capacity with our students to be able to support each other. So some consistent instructional practices have been put in place to provide that additional support for students as they move through the course.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and Andrew, if I may add,
yeah.
It's just important for everybody who's watching tonight to know your student is a student at Kennedy High School. We've got over 1,700 students, and we will look for ways to continue to support students. I'm super proud of the efforts and the planning that has gone into, getting us to a spot where right now we're looking at ways to ensure that students have a better experience this upcoming school year. What happened in the spring last school year, with just, a lot of educators trying to figure it out in the middle of the pandemic. The pandemic is still here, but please know that our focus will be on supporting all of our students at Kennedy High School in whatever way that might look like. And then we'll be really paying attention to the progress of students in their courses and looking for creative ways to support them, knowing that they're not physically in the building, but we'll continue to pay attention to that.
Let's see here. There we go. Just a little note on technology. So in Bloomington Public Schools, all students have a device, and we use Chromebooks. Most of our high school students already have those Chromebooks. And if you do not have one, obviously there's the device pickup or device and material pickup that will be taking place. As was mentioned, we use the hub as our location or our place for students to go to mark attendance. Within the hub, They'll also see course or assignments that need to be completed. They'll have links to their teachers' courses. And so our teachers choose between two systems, Canvas and Google Classroom. And so they will link that directly into the hub so that students find an easy pathway to their online learning space. And just a little bit about parenting online students. It is important to engage in communication with the school and with teachers. At high school, oftentimes that means really encouraging your student to communicate clearly with teachers and with the school and getting them to advocate for themselves. And of course, you're always welcome to advocate for your student. Help your student establish and maintain a daily routine. It is important to kind of set a schedule for being successful with schoolwork. Help your child stay organized, both in their physical and digital environment. So that might look like talking through some strategies around how to stay organized, knowing that you're in an online learning program. And then check in with your student about their schoolwork. Anytime you can get a student to talk about what they're learning, it will sink in and it will become a stronger point of learning for them. And so get them to explain ideas to you, get them to talk about what the assignments that they're doing. And I know I have a high schooler. It's not always easy to get her to talk about her schoolwork, but it is important. And so we encourage you to keep your students talking to you about school. And the final part here is around questions. So you can chat in any questions that you might have, and we're happy to respond to them. Usually, well, kind of what I hope for is not a lot of questions. It means we did a really nice job in the info session, and we were clear with the information, but we're happy to answer any questions. All right, we'll give it around, I suppose 30 seconds or so. And then know that if you don't ask your question now and you think of one later, you can always contact any of us. You can contact Akram and Molly, or you can contact, or feel free to also email me. And then our contact information was on that first slide, or the slide that showed our pictures and gave our names. The email addresses were right on the bottom of that. These slides will be made available to you. They'll be on the Bloomington Online School website. And it looks like we're going to wrap up here. So Akram, thank you. Molly, thank you. Everybody watching, thank you. And we look forward to it's a pandemic, yet we look forward to school starting and connecting with students and seeing really teachers and students coming together. Final words of wisdom, Akram?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Have a great evening.